Welcome, 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 everybody. I'm Coach Les. I'm here with Mr. Yarwood from Yarwood's Martial Arts, and this is our 81st podcast for YMA Mat Chat. And tonight it's what example are you setting for your kids? And the core question, which I absolutely love, are you a do as I say parent, or are you a do as I do parent? That is the question. And we're going to have a great discussion and really touch on 6 points tonight. So look forward to handing it over to you and having you get us started there, sir.
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about this. Just like I told you last week in our updates, we have May and June, our moms and dads train free. So we've actually had a pretty good turnout. We've had, I think, 10 parents come out on the mats with us. And we got them uniforms, got them belts. They're in the regular class. They're doing whatever. And they seem to be enjoying it, having fun. They got good camaraderie with each other. They're kind of all in the same boat, learning the same new stuff, challenge themselves, stepping out of the box. And I got thinking about what message is that sending to their kids, right? When they come out on the mats and they're willing to put themselves in an awkward position, a place that they maybe haven't done before, maybe they haven't done like a lot of physical exercise in a while, who knows what the case may be, right? But they're out there, they're willing to kind of put all that aside and get out there and do what their kids are doing, be part of what their kids are enjoying. And I just think has such a huge impact on their kids, because they're not sitting, it's fine if they're not, if parents come and they bring their kids and they sit and watch and stuff, and that's great. I don't have any problem with that. But those parents that get on the mats, that takes an extra amount of courage to be able to do that, right? And I think when kids see that, they're like, oh man, mom and dad are out here now too, right? They get to experience what I'm experiencing, and now they're doing stuff so they're watching, okay, mom and dad did something that they thought was really hard, that they were worried about, that they were scared about, that they've never done before, never tried before, but yet they did it anyway. That tells me that they're willing to do those things. So I think I can do that too, right? If mom and dad can do it, then I can do it. And it's a very important message in that your kids are watching you, right? You can tell them all day long to do stuff. My kids don't listen to me. They're listening. They're listening, but they're listening to body language. They're not listening to verbal language. And they're seeing and watching and doing what you're doing. And that's important to understand, that they'll hear certain things you say to them, right? But you have a long conversation with kids. They don't remember the conversation. They remember the time that they got to spend with you. They remembered what you did while you were having that conversation, or how they felt, what they recognized about what you were doing. How were you responding to them? Were you listening to them, or were you just talking? Maybe you're in a hard situation. How you respond to a situation says a lot about who you are to your kids, right? If you get frustrated easy and you lose your temper and you yell and all, kids see that, right? And it affects them and how they operate in the real world, and how do they respond, because they're learning from you, right? It's not built into them. So everything that you're doing, they're taking in, they're understanding, and they're projecting back out. So you got to be careful with what you're doing and making sure the example that you're setting for your kids is the one you want them to have.
It's and I can't agree with you more, because I look so I'll just tell one on myself. And that is, I watched my parents, and if I had followed their lead, I would be in a very, very good condition. Instead, I didn't. And I now look back, right, and I can see what my parents did, and I can see the value and the beauty of it. And I go, man, rather than being the rebellious, Dennis the Menace, if I had actually followed and listened to what they were sharing and what they created, now I see the value. Now I understand. And, it's always hard to tell kids, this is the way to do it. Look, this is what we're doing. And they were a do as I do parents. I just looked at all my friends in school. I happened to go to a very high value school where the kids had basically extraordinary limits, like they had none, or they had a lot of money. And so, to try and fit in, there were many times that I tried to keep up with the Joneses. And I wasn't super crazy. I just worked hard and made money. And I spent money. And I spent what I made. So when I made more, I spent more. And I look at that was not what my parents taught me. It was what I tried to fit in. And I think as I look back now, I wonder why my parents didn't sit me down and say, here's the perception that you may have. Here's why we're here. Here's how we live. And this is where we're at. Now, you may have grandiose ideals because of where we live. But let me tell you, we're here because we watch our pennies, right? And I never heard that, right? I heard, no, we're not going to buy you the most expensive pair of hockey skates, right? We're going to buy you affordable skates that fit and that work. And if you
play it again, sports.
Yeah. Oh, well, that didn't even exist when I was doing it. We went to General Sports and went to their U section, right? And then when I'd been doing it for playing hockey for 2 years, they bought me my first pair of brand new ones, right? But I look at that, and there was never really the full explanation. There was just, this is the way it is. And I look at these, right, do as I say parent or do as I do. They said this and they did it as well themselves. They practice the same way, but there was a lack of communication explaining why, right? Like actually coaching me and teaching me and instructing me. And I don't know if it was on this podcast, but but I've shared this before. My parents had me keep a ledger of everything that I spent. And I couldn't go out on Friday until I had it done. And it was such crap. I made it up on Friday afternoon so that I could get caught up and done. And, my parents never, my stepmom said, you don't think that we knew that? And I said, well, why did you let me get away with it? Because we were sick and tired of fighting the fight. And I look now at the kind of person that I am, is if you can explain to me why to do it this way versus this way, I will do it this way. So as this good example and things that as we do this, I think there really is something to be said for what's the example you're setting and how are you setting it?
Yeah. I sometimes think there's like this almost a disconnect, right? Where parents have the expectation that their kids are going to do exactly what they want them to do, and they don't, like, almost like the kids are supposed to know, right? And kids don't know, right? They, when they do things, when kids get in trouble, typically it's because they're testing boundaries because they don't know where they are, right? They don't have those parameters set yet. So they go, okay, how far can I go before mom and dad yell at me and I have to correct and come back, right? So they're finding the edges. And if you're inconsistent with your edges, or your edges aren't in alignment with what you're telling your kids they are, right? They get confused and they're not sure, and they're always going to, I think they're always going to default to what they're seeing versus what you're telling them, right? There's value in obviously telling them, here's the rules, here's what you need to follow, here's how you need to do things. But at the same time, if you're not living up to your own standards, they're going to question that and go, well, you're not doing what you say you're going to do. Why should I do what you tell me to do? Right? So there's that, you get that challenge part, and that's where the conflict starts to come into play, because if there's the communication, like you said, is gone, or it's not good, then you're going to have a lot of issues, right? So like I said, they'll always default to what they see and not what they hear. So if you're telling your kids to, you got to do your homework and you have to, you got to eat better and all this stuff, but then you're not doing any of that stuff. You're sitting at home watching TV, eating bad food and giving them bad food. Well, what are they supposed to do, right? They're not the ones buying groceries. They're not the ones in charge of going places. You bring them everywhere. You provide food for them. You provide all this stuff for them. It's on you to give them what they need so they understand that that's what they're supposed to have. But if you're talking the talk but not walking the walk, they only see the walk. That's what they do.
Yeah, right? and I think there's, the other piece for me is explanation, right? And being able to communicate with your kid in a way that they understand, like not high level stuff, not, well, this is to your fiscal benefit, right? Like if you
one day you'll thank me.
Yeah, one day you'll thank me if you do this, and here's why, and here's blah 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 blah. No, it's like, no, walk me through walk me through the oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Walk me through the trials, the negative stuff. Let me understand it so that I can learn. And then when I do something and I go over the line, sit me down and say, so did you see the line? Yep. Did you see that you went over the line? Yep. So what's the impact of that? Well, I can't pay 100% of my credit card bill this month. Okay. So what is that? What's the punishment of that? Well, the punishment is that, I now have to pay interest. Okay. Right. So is it worth it? Okay. Is it something that you have to do and that's the cost? So then it's a cost benefit analysis. Do you want to pay that? If you are understanding that and know that that's the cost of not paying it off at the end of the month, and you figure that into the expense, perfect. Understood. But so many times, if, and I can't, I'm sure there's at least 3 or 4 times where I've bought something on, pay it in 18 months, interest free.
I forgot to pay it.
I forgot to pay it. So on month 19, the entire interest from 0 to 19 months comes slapping into the bill.
Yep.
So that move ends up costing you, let's say it's $1,000 that you've kept. That move could cost you $380 plus the fee for not paying on time. So Now you're looking at it going, whoa, the great deal that you got became not a
Yeah.
great deal.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's up to parents to create an environment for their kids to exist in and thrive in that they want their kids to be in, right? It's if you're creating an environment, say mom and dad are fighting all the time and you're always late to everything, and you're just all these bad habits that you have, the things that you're doing, you're this is an environment that your kid is coming up in, right? And they see that and they model that, right? How you treat each other as mom and dad, how you treat each other as husband and wife, they model that as they get older. They start to see those things, right? How if you talk about the importance of being on time and yelling at them for not for we got to go, but they're already running behind anyway because of them, right? And now they're yelling at the kid because they're late, not because the kid is late, right? The kids see that, they recognize that stuff, right? And then dad's always late to everything. He always late to pick me up, he's late to drop me off at football, whatever it is, right? They see it over and over and it becomes a pattern and they recognize that stuff. And then now they, hopefully, in the positive side, maybe they're like, I don't want to be like that. Mom and dad are, they're always late. I don't like being late. But maybe that just becomes how they are too, because mom and dad were always late to stuff. So that's just normal for them. So when you have that environment around them, they adapt to that environment, they become part of that environment, and then as a parent, if they're doing what you're doing, you can't get mad at them for it because you are their example.
I once again, working with it, understanding it, and being in communication to me is makes such a difference.
Yep.
And it's so, I don't know. It occurs to me that it's so simple that, for instance, I don't understand why my parents didn't do it. I always thought they were great communicators. Right. But they were very, black and white individuals, and they thought that everything was black and white. And I think a lot of what we're dealing with today, when we look at the excuses, perfectionism, consistency, all of these things, and they don't see the mapping of what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're creating, what you're working towards. And if they don't see you make a mistake and clean it up, right? You don't have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. You can make a mistake. And if you sit down with your kid and say, look, I made a mistake. I said this, I told you this, I did this. It covers so much and it's so powerful.
Yep.
The other thing too, I think, is the way that banks and everybody pick on college students. The way that marketing picks on young people.
And we've talked about that before too, with the the finance part, with the understanding of money part, if parents model the way they do things to their kids, right? Maybe they don't pay their bills on time. Maybe, they don't ever have enough money for everything. Maybe they don't invest in anything. They don't understand money. They don't understand basic finances. They're modeling that behavior to their kids. Or maybe they spend, they buy all the toys and all this stuff, and the kids don't know that they actually can't afford it, right? All they see is all the cool stuff they have. We got snowmobiles and boats and cars and all this stuff, but mom and dad don't have any money. They don't know that part, right? They just see all the cool stuff. Well, what is that message to them? That, hey, we always got cool stuff, so when I grow up, I'm going to have cool stuff too. Not understanding that to have cool stuff, you have to have money to afford it, right? So if you're modeling that as well, you're putting your kids at a financial disadvantage before they even understand finances, because that what they're seeing is all the stuff, but they don't understand what it takes to get that stuff, or that maybe you don't have what it takes to get that stuff, but you want to have it anyway. So it's a challenge.
And what about the parent that goes into debt to get a car for a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't say this is, takes care of the payment for the kid without
and all
saying,
the repairs and all the stuff.
Yeah, I think that there really does have to be an understanding. It's like number 5 here, the moments kids remember, right? When you work hard and you see a parent that goes to work and doesn't spend any time with their kids, right? Now, if it's a short-term thing, 6 months, a year, and you communicate that and you work through that with your kid. And then when you do have time with your kid, that you are focused and not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you have said, you know what? My phone is off. It's you and me time because we don't get much time.
Yep.
I was the church that we go to, Eaglebrook, had a deal, and Jason, the lead teaching pastor, has a standing date with his daughter once a week to go out for coffee.
Nice.
And and I think she's like 8 or 9 years old, 10 years old, so a young girl. And I look at that and I go, what a great example.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a standing date with his wife.
That sends a lot of messages to her.
Yep.
Right? It sends the message that, well, number one, dad loves me and wants to spend time with me. But it also sends a message of how in the future, when she has a spouse or something, what her expectations are, right? He's the example that she is going to be having when she's looking for somebody in her life, right? And her dad models, okay, well, he spends time with me. He loves me. He pays attention to me. He treats me right. He does the same thing for my mom. That's the expectation she's going to have for when she is in that situation where she gets into relationships. That's what she's going to look for. So that's, without even realizing it, right? That subconscious, it's being built. So somewhere down the road, it's gonna surface, and that's how she's gonna look for people. So that example is getting deepened and deepened and deepened to the point where it's not even, she doesn't even think about it. That's just what her expectations are going to be.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. What was number 6? The legacy question. This parenting is not just raising children, it's modeling adulthood. I kind of laugh because I think of, what's adulthood? Because it is it's something else, right? Like it's really is something else. It's um I don't think that people really get what it is to be an adult because our world babies us.
Hmm.
The government babies us because they want to be in control of us. They want to make it so that we lean on them.
They want to be the parent.
Yes. And I don't think people understand the damage that is creating in society.
Hmm.
Well, I can't afford that, but I'm going to buy it and then Uncle Sam will pay me.
Hmm.
The state will take care of that. And that is a scary, scary thought.
Yep. Yeah. One of the things I think about a lot is everything that is being pushed on you is for a reason. There's control. There's having you under their thumb, right? So everything that you can do opposite of what they're trying to make you do is what's going to be the example for, I would say, adulthood for your kids, right?
Yep.
You think about all the foods that we eat. They're pushing all this bad food in these huge portions and all that stuff, right? Well, if you want to go against what they want, then you eat right? Eat the good food. You eat the amount you're supposed to eat, right? They in order for them to have control of you, they need you overweight and out of shape, right? So you go and be fit and work out and train. They want you to be poor, right? They don't want you to have any money so that they can control you that way. So you go out and you go get become a business owner or get a job that pays well and be financially sound and pay your bills and don't have any debt, so they don't have anything to say to you, right? You're what comes along with being healthy is that they have all these drugs they want you to take for all the different things, right? I mean, they have commercials for drugs for things you haven't even figured out if you have yet or not. They want you to ask your doctor if you have these symptoms, if you should be on these drugs. Like they're building it, they're subconsciously telling you that you're going to be sick, right? So
Yeah.
the way you fight that is you train and you eat well, all that stuff. You be physically fit and you're not going to need all that stuff, right? So there's so many ways that they're trying to get into your brain and try and make you think about stuff and control you. And all you do is do the opposite of everything they're trying to make you do, right? That's how you set an example for your kids, because you're fighting against everything that they're trying to make you. Your kids start seeing that too, and you talk to them about all this stuff that you're seeing and that you're experiencing, and help them to understand that being an independent individual is the most important thing, because then you can go do what you want to do, right? But the more you model that, the more they're going to understand it, and the more you talk to them about it, the more they're going to understand it, and then they're going to go and do those things as well.
Yeah, and the commercials. I love the commercials that say, "Well, this will help this, but be prepared. You could have all of these symptoms."
Yep.
And I just look at that and go, "Do people not hear that?"
Yeah. If you have this, you should take this. But if you take this, then you're going to have all this too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I think you should share your closing thought, because I think we just hit 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think your closing thought is awesome.
So the question or the thought, eventually your kids will not do what you said. They'll do what you showed them. So they're going to watch you and mirror you and do all the things that you did, not what you said. They're going to forget all the things you said and do all the things you did.
You know, I watch kids in grocery stores that yell at their parents, right? And and then you find out that the parents yell at each other.
Yep.
So what do you think you're teaching the kid?
Exactly.
This is how to operate.
Yep.
And the moms will get mad at the kids. And yet it's like, wait a minute. You created this.
Yep. You put them in that environment.
Kids are like computers. They absorb information and then puke it out.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, really great topic. Thank you so much, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Yarwood. I really do appreciate this. I think this was definitely in our top 10%, because I think the value of what we're talking about here is paramount. And when it comes to martial arts, following that discipline in each and every aspect, as we started out today with the parents, now coming onto the mats with their kids, is so powerful, right? It just creates magic for the kids.
Yep.
So
you see their eyes light up when mom and dad are out there. They want to go help them. They want to teach them, right? They're so excited about it. Mom, you're not doing it right. I'm going to show you how, right? They love that stuff.
And it's really cool because, I remember before Sarah came out onto the mats, right? I remember her watching the moves that were being taught to Luke.
Yep.
And her paying attention so that when she got home, she could watch Luke and make corrections.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because as an adult, we're able to see, learn, imprint, then share.
Mm-hmm.
But now to be able to do it as a participant.
Yep.
Oh, it's just so much fun. So much fun to watch. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to put us back into doing the outro here. And thank you all, and we'll see you next week for number 82.